All right, if you need to discuss, that's fine. Please caucus outside so we can start our final panel on the role of youth in the Commonwealth that we want. If you want to caucus one of the speakers, please, you can step outside. And I'm going to turn over now to our moderator for our last panel. Lady T. There she is. She took off the jacket. Totally confused me, but let me introduce her. Lady T is quite an impressive personality, presenter, moderator, media figure here in the UK. She's worked everywhere from, BBC to MTV. Interviewed a number of interesting media figures, including Michelle Williams from Destiny's Child, which would be the wrong member of Destiny's Child to meet if you were to meet one member of Destiny's Child. And has won a number of awards and hosted a number of events, including the Wise Women Awards, the Premier Gospel Awards, Thy Kingdom Come in Trafalgar Square, the Tasha Cobbs, Charles Jenkins, and so on. She has her own podcast, Candid with a K, podcast with Lady T, the one and only Lady T, gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, please give her a round of applause.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. All right, start that again. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a long day, right? Have you guys been learning lots? Yeah? Sure? Cool? Okay. Maybe this section might wake you up a little bit. So the next section that we're going to talk about, it's about youth and the Commonwealth. We all know that, Michael Jackson said children are the way, they're the future. But we're going to be talking about the youth and the impact they need to have in the Commonwealth. And we're going to have some speakers who are going to come up on stage. And if you have any questions about youth, please do write them down, because there will be an opportunity for you to ask some questions to the panel this afternoon. Okay, so I'm going to invite the panelists up. And I think some of them are here. Maybe a couple of them we're still waiting for. Are we all good? Okay. So can I have Sarah Boateng, who's the NGO. She is the founder of Invest in Girls Education in Africa. And as they come up, please give them a round of applause. I think you can do better than that. Let's sound lively, yes. Can I invite Charlene Kalonji, who is the founder of Olonkoi Jewelry. Lawrence OJ, who's the group manager of SPHRI. He's not here yet? Okay, yeah. Don't worry, later. All right. Can I have Sheila Akinlabi, who's the founder of Where to Med? Give a round of applause. I'm loving the look of this. It's a ladies' day. Oh, yes. Also, can I invite Robin Thompson, who's a national youth delegate of the Bahamas for the Commonwealth as well. And lastly, can I invite Lidwin Mefa, who is a UN consultant. Okay, so we've got one more person. We've got Anita Lowenstein-Dent, who is the founder of Tech to Teach as well. All right. Okay, so, I guess the ladies trump the men today, sorry. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you each just to do the classic elevator pitch. So I'm going to give you a few minutes just to talk about what you do and what your organization is all about. So we'll start from the end. Oh, okay, so we got our last person. All right, here we go. All right, so this is Lidwin Young. She is the UN consultant. All right, so like I was saying, I'm just going to ask you each to do like your elevator pitch. So tell us in a few minutes what you do and what your organization is all about. So we'll start from you at the end.
So hi, my name is Anita Lowenstein-Dent. My organization is Teach to Teach International. We support failing national education systems and work under SDGs 4 and 8. So quality education for all and quality of training for all. So what we do very simply is we work with unemployed young people and we train them to be teachers in the primary sector in 8 days. We do this in areas where literacy is around 9% and unemployment runs at over 70%. So we work in some of the most highly deprived communities currently in West Africa. At the same time, we address other problems, particularly early and forced marriage, rural to urban migration because of lack of opportunity in local communities, and a multitude of other problems which would be associated with the education sector and with underperforming schools. So essentially, what we do in 8 months with our students it would be achieved in over 3 years. But most importantly, we're talking about youth. So why did we do this program? Because we understood that what we had was a method which was high impact, had a high multiplier effect, was value for money, scalable, that we could replicate in areas with small adaptation, and we had a 20-year evidence base that would work. All of the key factors that you want to do when people want to invest, and we are supporting systemic change. So who are the young people that we work with? Well, classically, and all of the modelling and all the evidence suggests that young people get stuck in 2 places into employability. The first place is immediately after they leave high school, and the second place is after they leave tertiary education. Now remember, we work in areas where 9% of the school-going population is literate, and where 90% of the adult population is not literate or numerate. So the people that come into our program are absolute superstars because they have got through already. So we are backing the best. We are backing the most enthusiastic and the most committed. And so when we have put together all of our recruitment criteria about who we should take into the program, in the end of the day, what we do is we look into the white people's eyes and you can see their passion and you can see that these people want something better than what has been provided within their circumstance. And it is humbling. I am exceedingly humbled. I have had the benefit of my education in the UK, so have my children, and nobody gets stuck here for very long. But where these people come from, they can do their very best, and they do. So I would really like to underline that these people are superstars. Let me tell you just briefly about 2 further things. We had a recruitment process last August. We had 40 places that were opened up on our program in 2 districts in northern Ghana. We had 950 applications. Think about that for 40 places. If I was to scale that to the whole of Ghana, that would have been 100,000 applications across Ghana. That is the level of the need to answer the huge problem of youth unemployment across Africa. It is a gaping issue which has to be answered today. Going back to our program, when I say we train people to be teachers, we train a lot more than that. What we do is we train them in personal growth and development, in employability skills, in transferable skills, in climate change, in peace-building skills. And we can do that because it might be 8 days in the classroom, but it's support that we give with them within their communities afterwards that makes all the difference. My final point is that this is a model that can be used to train anything because that's what we're doing. And with that, I'll hand over.
Thank you very much. Give a round of applause. That's Anita.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Robin Thompson. I am an entrepreneur of 8 years in the hair and beauty retail industry. I'm also a lecturer at the University of the Bahamas and the 2018 to 2020 National Youth Delegate appointed for the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. In addition to that, I've also recently founded a nonprofit organization, Youth in Power, which basically has the mandate of connecting high-risk young people to more established business leaders And God willing, in October, we're planning an I Am a Woman conference. So if any of you are interested in attending that, I would be more than happy to give you further details. But the goal of that conference is to basically ensure that the young people who are at risk, who have clever ideas, but obviously they lack sufficient resources, or they lack leadership and guidance, to ensure that they are in that room when other established persons, particularly business leaders, heads of government, and also just people, essentially just people who've already been down that path, who've already done it, and who can say, hey, let me bring you along with me. I can help show you the way. So that's this October 2020, the I Am Woman Conference. And in addition to that, given my roles at the University of the Bahamas, although I'm an economics and finance lecturer, and we see that in the Bahamas we tend to focus on service-oriented businesses, particularly hospitality, given that tourism is our #1 industry. I've been trying to do my role with pushing and promoting entrepreneurship, but also recognizing that entrepreneurship cannot be promoted in isolation, that there is a great need for education, and so ensuring that our young people, that they are equipped with the mindset, the entrepreneurial mindset, and also they know how to succeed in business and not just start in business. So thankfully, the government of the Bahamas in 2018, they dedicated $25 million over the next 5 years towards the promotion of entrepreneurship. And with the help of our recently founded Small Business Development Center, we've seen that our country has been making significant progress in terms of recognizing the need for entrepreneurship, because as we all should know, entrepreneurs are the backbones of most economies today. Small and medium enterprises are the backbones of most economies today. And so the SBDC has been doing a phenomenal job of finding those interested in entrepreneurship, providing them with training, support, education and development opportunities, and then on the back end, pairing them with financial institutions and investors who are willing and interested to invest in their dreams. Thank you.
Wow. Woo. Another round of applause. Next person.
Good afternoon, everyone. Really humbled to be on the stage with these ladies, and their introductions really great. My name is Sheila, and my background is in biomedical sciences. I'm currently working for some of the biggest pharmaceutical companies as a clinical site manager. However, earlier last year, I founded a company called Where to Med, and the mission for Where to Med is basically fair access to quality medicines in Africa and across Africa. We currently are looking to do this through an online database, an online platform. Everyone's got a phone in their hands, and everyone's got a phone back in Africa, so we're trying to really use the phone in order to deliver information about medical and trying to also fight counterfeit medicine through that as well. So we really are in the startup of this project. So if anyone wants to come and talk to me later on, please do so.
Fantastic. Awesome. Another round of applause. Okay, next.
Hello, my name is Charlene Kalonji. I'm the founder of Wolankori. It's a bespoke jewelry business that makes Afro designs and Congolese designs from basically history of Congo jewelry to bringing it back into the modern times. Our aim is to become the very first, if not the great, in the great lengths of the Beer jewelry in terms of where our minerals are sourced and where our products are produced. We want to get our young Congolese who are very talented and skilled in this area and not recognized, and bring them onto the fold in terms of how they make jewelry into to the diaspora even. And there's plenty of young gentlemen and women back home who have these talents passed on from generations, but not actually been promoted in the right way. So that's what we're doing.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Okay.
Hi, my name's Sarah, and I'm the founder of Investing in Girls Education Africa. And what we do is we look to advocate for the investment into the quality education of young girls living in rural communities. And the first project we do that I designed is called Menstruate and Educate. So it's where we provide girls in northern Ghana, in Bolgatanga, with reusable period pads that last for up to 2 years to allow girls the freedom to be on their period and still go to school, as currently 80% of girls from 11 to 16 have never used something effective for their period. So they're missing around 20 to 60 days every academic year out of school. So we look at targeting that and also look at educating the community on periods and breaking that taboo for them to understand the effects it has on their girls' education.
Wow. Amazing. And lastly?
Hi, my name is Lidwin Meffel, and I'm the founder of the Smiling Foundation. It's a foundation based in the US, Nigeria, and Cameroon. And the foundation started as my PhD project, where I had a choice between writing a 100 pages thesis or open a foundation. So I chose to open a foundation. And then one of the pillar of the foundation is education, where we're trying to eradicate illiteracy in Africa. And the goal was to build 22 libraries in Africa, and so far we have done 7. And in part of that, in September, we're going to build a school in Cameroon where the slogan is going to be, "Come as a girl and live as a woman," where women will learn basic skills as how to clean yourself, how to present yourself in a family role, how to be eloquent when you speak in front of the public, how to conduct yourself properly in public and stuff like that. So the foundation is global now, and yearly we kind of showcase the role that we play in Africa at the United Nations. Since I was an advisor, former advisor at the Permanent Mission of Nigeria to the UN, and I currently consult to all the 54 AU mission at the UN as well. So the mission is also something that we want the girls, because the school we have a contract with 30 countries, and we want the girls to also learn what is happening abroad. We want the girls to come also to conferences like this and give their thought, to observe and to go back to their family as well. So we want to give them a chance, not to leave them because they are in Africa, letting them know that they have to learn there. What they have learned in Africa, how can they take the skill here, and how can some of the volunteers here in London, in US, all over the place can come to Cameroon as well and show them some of the skills that they have learned as well. So you can find that more of it on Instagram and Facebook if you want to learn more. Thank you.
Wow, fantastic. Can you give them all a round of applause? I think it's amazing. If you want to, I think this is definitely a day to network, so please see them afterwards if you think you can collaborate in some way to help them. I can definitely see that, you work across the board from like education to sciences to medicine, which I think is fantastic, because I guess we need to focus on all areas in order to bring our youths up. So question I'd like to ask each of you is, what kind of activities have you done, successful activities to really engage young people, boys and girls? Because, we focus on a lot of the girls because they're important, absolutely. But we also need to think about the boys as well. So what kind of activities successfully you've done or implemented that has seen a huge reach in what each of your organizations have done? So we'll start off with you, Sarah, and then and then I'll just ask everybody.
Yeah.
So go for it.
Sure. So what we really concentrate on is that you have to target the community leaders and the families about periods, because in the communities we work in, it's still very hierarchical. So it's if the men or the community leaders are not really in agreement with what you're doing, they won't allow your project in the community, which they have a right to. So what we really do is looking at targeting them and educating them first on periods and the importance it has, not just on the girls' education, but just on boys as well, and that lack of knowledge. So with them, we were able to create workshops. So the workshops that they run in schools, to be able to teach, boys and girls about periods and the importance of it and the impact it has. And we found that has been really successful so far, and we're going to be able to expand this year. We started off with 100 in our pilot, and we only expected 40 mostly community leaders and parents and teachers, but we had nearly 200 come out, and like they were really engaged in it. So this year we're going to be able to expand quite big on that. So.
Fantastic. And I understand that your organisation is actually an affiliate with another one in America. Is it the Obama Foundation?
Oh yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I know. I was.
Ooh,
Is it? So tell us about that, because that's a pretty big deal. I mean, for what you're doing and to be affiliated with the Obama Foundation, that's another level of awareness. And I guess so how did that, just explain to us how that came about, and and what you guys are doing to work together for the foundation to work.
So it took months. To be honest, I reached out to their lead project person for the Girls Opportunity Alliance, and it took like 8 months for her to get back to me. And then she was like, oh my gosh, I love what you're doing. I've seen what you do. We really want to get you involved. And then from that, I was able to like join. So we're part of the Girls Opportunity Alliance program. And what they look to do, they look to help us promote like the work we're doing in Ghana, and also just to help us fundraise eventually by the end of this year, to help us raise more support to be able to reach more girls, in the northern part of Ghana. That's where we're really focused right now, because we've seen that's where most of like the need is as well.
Okay. Wow, fantastic. Oof. It's not every day you get to be part of Obama Foundation, but it's a huge step forward. Okay, so we'll ask Sheila and Robin and Anita as well about the projects you guys do. Do you want to go for it?
So for Where to Med, what we really understood as a group is that we had to contact pharmacists in Ghana, essentially, because that's where we're going first, and really understand what the infrastructure is there, because a lot of the times we kind of go into Africa thinking with the mindset of what's happening in the UK, for example. And we got some really great feedback just in regards to what their limitations are, what kind of counterfeit medication, how they think they're going to be able to implement a program like Where to Med, and work with the patients as well in order to implement just that information for patients. There's so much counterfeit medication within Africa, just across it, and even projects such as Pedigree, they have a bit of a bar scan, a barcode on each medical kind of packaging. That's it, where patients can see whether or not that particular medication is authentic. So pairing up with a company such as that, and then also empowering the patient with the information as regards to how much is the medication, what does the medication actually do, and what we're trying to do is also making sure that they're not going too far to get that medication. So the price discrepancy between two pharmacists in places such as Ghana is really large. So it's because the pharmacists choose what the medication is going to be priced at. So because there is such a difference, we're really trying to provide this online platform where people can try and compare the medication and see how far it is from them. And we've done this by contacting pharmacists, offering like one city to complete a questionnaire, and then getting all that information and data back, because data is pretty much where it's at the moment, and really trying to understand what it is on the ground, and not go in there with preconceived notions about what it is. And we're trying to now target not just pharmacists in the community, but also pre-reg pharmacists, because we believe, especially as this is a youth panel, we need to really reach people who are still in training in order to make that change. So yeah, really excited.
Wow, amazing. Okay, Robin?
In terms of the work I've been doing to cater to both male and female, or boys and girls, I can say that I've been working along with my co-national youth delegate, who was a male, so it was two of us selected, both male and female. So we've been working on basically calling for activities and certain measures to be put in place in our country to help advance the platform of the Commonwealth. And personally, in addition to that, I've been engaging in independent tutoring and consultancy, and basically also pro bono, offering pro bono supports to young people in terms of business formalization, business creation, and also business growth. But also, as I mentioned earlier, we are also planning the Youth Empower Conference, the I Am Woman Conference, and that's basically geared towards not simply being a conference, having everyone come together, talk, and then leave, but also providing capacity building workshops so that at the end of the day they're equipped with what they need to be equipped with to start their next journey. And so that's basically it in a nutshell, working personally and also with my co-national youth delegate, also through the Youth Empower nonprofit organization to offer free support, free guidance, education, and resources to any young person, male or female.
Okay, amazing. Anita?
So we work on capacity and not capital projects because we believe that's the most sticky way to do development, the most sustainable way. So even if the project disappears, those who are within the project own it already. And so we, from the inception, we networked through these wonderful devices. And we're very low tech because we think that being in there on the ground within the communities is the best way to work, particularly because we don't have reach in a lot of communities, but we do have a WhatsApp group. And so our teachers are seeing what each other are doing in the classrooms every day because they're loading up what their lesson plans are. They're showing what the kids are doing. They're taking short videos. So this is a sort of way that the youth can engage with each other, and that we can just act as a catalyst, create the platform, be the central organisers. So we're not owning it and running it from over here, or our Ghanaian partners from centrally, but it is immediately proletarianised. It is within that population, and then they can make it better than what we have conceived. But I do want to put in a word of caution here, is I worked on projects in India and in Kenya. And in India, they were livelihood development projects where we worked with the women because the women were best. And what we did is we created a double burden of debt where women had to actually leave their families if they became non-resilient to their debt, and it became detrimental to the local communities. And in Kenya, we worked on WASH projects and aligned them with education projects. And again, it was for the girls. And in that situation, we noticed very quickly that the girls were super commoditized because those girls who'd been in the program were more likely to be forced into marriage and to be married off early. And the male children in their families were very, very discontent about that unbalancing. And so within our program, we always guarantee to privilege women, to have at least 60% of the young women in our programs, but to always have it as something which feels that there is the appropriate balance. So the final thing is, how does our engagement happen? I think I've explained. It happens within the people in the project. We engage parent-teacher associations, traditional authority, all the way through to the district education authorities, to the Ghanaian Education Service within the context of Ghana, and finally, and least importantly, but ultimately very importantly, to the ministry. But as traditional authority, as chiefs will tell me, if we say send your children to school, the parents will. But the minister is gone next year, so they have the longevity, and so that engagement is the most important place, is to have it in the community and within traditional authority.
Wow, great. Okay, with you, Charlie, I know yours is obviously because you do jewelry, but have you found ways to be able to, connect and engage with young people through what you're doing? Because sometimes, there's different sources. You can use sport, you can use, some of the ladies were using medicine and other, but with yours, it's more arts and crafts. So how have you been able to successfully engage with young people to get involved?
The challenge for me was always the parents.
Right.
Because this is creative stuff. Yeah. So as an African growing up, creative things are playthings. It's not what you will put the food on the table. Yeah. So it's more of the parents trying to have conversations with them. So what we try to do is we get a youth organisation together. There's a few of us, about 30 to 50 of us. We do YouTube videos where we have topics where we discuss, to break down the stigmas or the taboos of jewelry and making it, and how you can actually make it just with Instagram. Pretty much it. You could just set up your Instagram from wherever you are in the world. As long as you can find a way to post it, you've got business. So once you open the parents up to that, then they can actually see that it's just the same, if not actually, you can get the same qualification as medicine from it. You can get a degree from it, you can get a diploma from it, you can become an expert, the avenue is endless, just the same as it is a doctor. So it's opening that mindset so that the kids don't feel like they have to, leave their creative side. Yeah.
And I guess using the generation that we're in now, using social media as a positive way to engage, because it has the negative and the positive to it. So using what you're using,
YouTube platforms are best,
the best ones. Okay, and then for you, Lidwin, just let us know, because obviously you worked with the UN as well, and now you have your own organisation that you do. How have you been able to connect?
Actually, what we do is something that is needed. Education, it starts with education and it ends with education. So people, when you talk about education and then you show that there is quality education added to it, people are really interested. And in Africa, when you come from a place where they believe that everything in America is fairness, where they believe that you have been there for the longest, because I lived in America for 25 years and I try not to return to Africa. And it's kind of difficult because now there is a balance where you go there, there is no law, there is no human rights, there is no, it's just like you are kind of lost, but at the same time, this is where you are coming from. And you have to get people at the local level sometimes to make you understand, and also to get them involved in what you are doing. For example, I went to Morocco to open a library, and then we got kicked out because the men was very resistant. They said, we don't want our women to learn how to read and how to write a name. It was difficult. So those are things that you face sometimes when you're trying to push the button, and then you come with the mindset of an American trying to go back to Africa. So there's a lot of challenges. It can be infrastructure. It can be the government also, who doesn't have maybe I would say the law really set out the way that we, the diaspora who are coming, we don't know how to balance or to see to get away with what is happening there. So it's a lot of barriers that are putting there for us to navigate. But when the system is well put it out, when the program is well designed, you always have people who are interested, who are learning, you are willing to get on board with you.
Yeah. Excellent. And you kind of touched upon one of my questions that I was going to ask for everybody, actually. I hope you've got your questions ready, because we will be opening the floor up very soon. So if you have any questions for the ladies or anything in general, please be ready with it. So the projects that you were all doing, it's great because, we're focused on the Commonwealth, but in Africa in particular. We all know that, Africa's great. All the countries, it's great. There's plenty of resources. It's rich in so many areas. But for us who have been here, in the Western world, wanting to go back, there's a whole heap of challenges. From right, even we should want to do education, implementation, and even medicine as well, which I'm pretty sure. So I can probably guarantee, I can probably say, I can put my money that each and every one of you has faced a challenge in terms of getting something off the ground and making sure that this happens in it. So can you each tell us what your challenges were and how you overcame that? And, were you able to work with local governments, people in political power? Did you have to do the backhand thing and a little something, as that as well? So how did you overcome what challenges did you have and how did you overcome it? And then obviously now it's successful. So I will start off with you again because you kind of touched upon it. So I wanted just to give it a round up and if there's anything else, and then we'll go down the line as well. So yeah.
There are so many challenges when you speak about Africa, and then it looks like everything coming from us to them is a challenge. I don't know if I make myself clear. If you're coming from a place where they don't understand your mindset, where you're coming from, and for us, for me, who has been out of Cameroon, for example, or Senegal for the longest, when you go back, you look like the foreigner to them. Right. Even though you're still a Cameroonian, they look at you that you are them, we are us. So this is also one of the barriers. The barriers there are so many of them. If you start to list it, it's kind of never end. But at the same time, we found our way to navigate our way to embrace them and make them that I'm still part of you guys, even though if I have been away for the longest. Yeah, so yeah.
Okay. What was your challenge?
So I think for me, even though I was born in the UK, I'm originally like from Ghana. So what I decided to do is I went and lived in northern Ghana for 6 months. I lived in a village because I wanted to ensure that I'm not coming from a Western view. I'm not coming because I've been brought up in the UK and I know better. I really wanted to learn how the education system works in rural communities in the northern part of Ghana and how to engage with the community and the community leaders and really build allies. And I found that really important. And that's really helped with the success of the project. And I think doing that and being able to meet someone who is my project manager, who lives in the community, and he's worked in the NGO sector for over 12 years. So with Canadian governments, Ghana governments, and being able to build a relationship with him has able to help us like build trust with the community. So I think finding a good person that you don't have to do the backhand stuff.
Your ally.
Yeah,
we all need good allies.
I found is really helpful. So I think just living like a local and just being like, I'm not here as a British Ghanaian. I'm here as just a Ghanaian person wanting to know where I'm coming from, to know where I'm going.
So do you think it's worth, for anybody who's sat here listening now, or for any other young person who'll be watching this later, is it worth them, if you want to help out, if you want to make change in where you're coming from, whatever part of Africa you're from, is it worth them going and soaking themselves in that environment for a small period of time and then coming back out and then going back in and finding the people that, is it worth them do that?
110%. I really don't believe you can make effective change just going from a Western view and just going, okay, I want to do this. I think you really need to be able to build a relationship with the community, because just like we shouldn't feel like just because we brought up in the UK that means it's right, because whatever you may think that, I want to do from here, you might go there and the community may not want that. So it's good to be able to just, even if you don't stay there for 6 months like me, like even 2 weeks, do you know what I mean? Just to really get back into the culture and initiation, because it's completely different. Like, it's really, really hard. So being able to adjust yourself to that, I think is really helpful, and I think 100% you need to do it.
Wow, okay. And for you, Charlie?
Well, yeah, I second that, because my mindset, as much as I was born in Congo, my mindset was 30 years in the UK. So I still got that Western mind. So my thing was, okay, I need to go back and learn not only 30 years in the UK, but a very British lifestyle. So I need to learn how Congolese live in the UK, that's first. And then I also need to learn how Congolese live back home. So I had to, humble myself into, okay, I don't know anything about Congo. I need to learn everything from a diaspora Congolese to a national Congolese. And then after that, it has to be a case of, the biggest challenge was the previous government, should we say.
Right, yes.
And how they did things and how they didn't do things, because there's two sides to that. Some things they did, some things they didn't. But also over every one of those parts is making Congolese understand that we need jobs and skills. So every department, every sector, every industry needs a job, from the cleaner all the way down to the CEO. So we have to rebuild from scratch. And having those conversations with everyone to make them understand that we are in need of skills. So the talents that we have to start turning them into professions. And it's a good thing, not a bad thing. Like you said about women learning, it's a good thing that everybody, puts in work so that we can get ahead. So those are my challenges.
Fantastic. And for you, Charlie?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I completely agree. I think the bottom line for, policymakers, donors, businesses, is that things have to change. The way that things have been done is just, it's obviously not working. So I think from a point of view where we are creating this project, that we want it to work in Africa, we understand how valuable it is to be on the ground and be able to actually talk to pharmacists or talk to doctors and even understand how the education system works. So in terms of even a pharmacist just prescribing, okay, where do you expect that patient to go after you've prescribed? What is the patient journey? It's really, really important for us to understand that and not to make assumptions like you mentioned. So things that we have come up with quite a few challenges. Again, we are a startup, so we're trying to understand what's going on within Ghana, and actually we're raising some funds in order to actually go there as a team and really ask those questions. But one of them is also Wi-Fi. We come from such a privileged space here where we could just connect, and it's not the same there. And our project is obviously online, so we really need to understand how people can interact even being offline. Is there a way of uploading information within the database without being connected and then connecting after? But also just just that education. So spending a little bit more time in the pharmacists that have been really kind of active with us, and really spending more time to actually making them understand. A lot of business in Africa is done face to face, not over the phone. So using, the interactive means that we have, such as Skype, and actually setting up, a Skype call, understand them, us explaining to them what we want to do, and us getting that feedback. Feedback is essential for anything you want to find a solution for, and for the people you want to find a solution for, you have to have the people in mind. So yeah, no, fairly quite a lot, and I think solving it by going there, I think that's such a great way, but also using resources that are already available. The wheel is not always, doesn't have to be rethought. Some people are doing what we're doing. How can we cooperate? How can we come together and actually deliver this service that we want within the community itself? So sometimes it's just really asking and being open to feedback, being open to understanding that if you are finding a solution, best chance is someone else is trying to find that solution. Everyone wants to make sure that our families, our friends don't use counterfeit medicine in Africa. You want to pick up a box and be sure that what's in the tin is what's actually inside. So everyone is invested, and making sure that is open to conversation and coming up with a solution with other people is essential.
Great, thank you. Robin?
So I'm from the Bahamas, and while I'm sure that I have some roots in Africa, I've yet to, investigate that as yet, but I haven't done any direct work at an organizational level with Africa, regrettably. But what I can say is that I visited Nigeria once for a Commonwealth event, and that was focused on trade, facilitating trade between the UK and Africa. But I can definitely comment that I'm pretty sure that once young people, like my fellow panelists, continue the work that they are doing, moving towards bridging the gaps that exist, because there's a lot of potential and opportunities in Africa from what I've seen personally. So as long as you guys continue your great work, I'm pretty sure that the future is limitless and extremely bright. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And lastly, Anita.
So you asked what the challenges were, and I think I prefer to frame that question as what are the goals? So the goals are to work in a sustainable way and to make sure that you make systemic change, even if you're beginning small, that you understand how you will fit in to the bigger picture, rather than just having, you shouldn't be pouring puddles, you should be pouring something which can be created into a reservoir of knowledge and a reservoir of change. So working in partnership with local organizations, gaining local knowledge, I completely agree with everything that's been said, and using local resource is really the way forward. I know that with my partners of fantastic organizations been working in this area that I work in for over 20 years. I'm the newbie in this partnership. I'm very proud to bring what we have in terms of capacity and knowledge, but without them, we would not navigate or have the success. And the tiniest little example, so we brought in the new ideas about safeguarding in from DFID, and we had a big safeguarding session so that we could start running it through all of our programs and make sure everybody was on board. And I said, so of course, when we deploy our teachers, we'll be deploying 2 women into schools because, and they looked at me and they went, oh, slow down. And I said, excuse me? I said, yeah. And they said, no, here we do things a bit different. And I went, okay. And this was one of many times in the conversation where we just get these moments. They say, over here it would be better if we deployed a woman with a man into the village. And I said, well, how does that do safeguarding? They said, that's safeguarding Ghanaian style. Okay, that is what it looks like over here. Now, it's just an impulse which is different here from there, and you have to slow down, take a beat. And if I could tell you the number of these incidents that happen every day, which means that together you navigate really well. Yeah. So that is the key thing. The other thing I wanted to say is that you do then get to suggest new approaches. And the key of these within this sector, when you're dealing with these, is to understand that Africa is rising, and Africa needs to get away from the idea that knowledge transfer is a bad thing. That telling your children what you know or telling people around you, sharing is positive and critical thinking is the way forward. And that is one thing that we insist upon, that we insist with our African partners, but which is not a commonly held belief. And that, I think, is one of the major impulses for change. So on the back of that, we put in very strong beneficiary feedback mechanisms so that we can test, so that we can judge, and we can therefore, and through those, build in a local evidence base about what is working and why and what is acceptable within the context that we work. So, ultimately, that is what I think empowerment and youth empowerment looks like.
Wow, amazing. Can you just give them all a round of applause, please? Amazing. I think what's resounding in each and every one of you is literally the education part. You know, how do we just continue to educate and empower, and obviously using digital, because that's where we're at. Everybody's now here. No one's no longer like on the screen. Everyone's here. So how do we get all that knowledge onto here so that, you know, even people in rural areas have phones that I never seen before, but they're great phones as well. So thank you all for your individual contributions that you are making. Does anybody have any questions to ask? You do? Okay, cool. So we've got 1, 2. All right, so I'm going to come down with the microphone. We're going to spend a couple of minutes. So just tell them your name and who you're directing your question to.
So I'm Suki. I'm one of the volunteers for the event. So my question is directed at Sheila. You did mention that your organization sort of works towards fishing out counterfeit drugs in Africa. I also want to know your technique in trying to do that, because I remember in Nigeria, a way of doing that is to have a NAFDAC number on medicines and stuff. So, and obviously there's like loopholes in that. So what sort of technique does your organization have in tackling that?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I think we're trying to basically bring it into a digital mean. And we're trying to make it a bit more innovative. And your Facebook, your social media, we're trying to really make sure that the patient has feedback. So, for example, you've been prescribed a drug and you go back home and you really want to know where your drug is cheapest around your area. You want to know how far it is, and you want to know whether it's safe and it's authentic. So with the app that we're trying to bring, we're going to bring it digitally first as a website and then as an app. You're going to be able to basically answer the questions to answer those 3 questions. And once you then are in the pharmacist and you're purchasing it, what we try and ask as well is, what was your experience? Service is so important. What was your experience at that pharmacy? Did you actually find the drug? Because sometimes, you'll see, yes, the drug is here, it's being sold here, but was it actually in stock? And really trying to get all of that information in a database, because right now, pharmaceutical companies, that's what's really driving them. They are purchasing that type of data. And from a local perspective, being able to really take that and empowering the patient to give their feedback, I think that's really important. So that's kind of how we want to do it. In terms of loopholes, we hope that we can foresee them and be able to kind of counteract it with some type of solutions. For, in terms of like your account, for example, if it gets hacked, that would be a loophole. But at the moment, we've been okay, and we're just obviously building the information and building the intelligence around Accra. And then we're thinking about moving to Kenya after. So we're going into kind of like the big cities first, and they will have the infrastructure, the data, the internet, and then kind of moving on away from that. But yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Great, thank you. My quick question is, how are you going to regulate the pharmacists in terms of, because if you want them to be in local areas, how are they going to be verified? And do you have anything in place for that?
So when you go into the actual website, you'll have an account for either being a pharmacist or being a patient. So if you are a pharmacist, then we would ask you things like, here for doctors, you have your, GMC number? But so when they get qualified, they'll have their pre-reg pharmaceutical number. So just making sure that we're dealing with the people that we know we're dealing with. And then they'll have their username and account details, password details to go into their account and be able to interact with us through the platform.
Great, thank you. All right.
Okay. Thank you so much. My name is Ernest. I am talking from some experiences I've had from Ghanaians and people in the diaspora trying to come home. My background, I'm a lawyer, so I get to advise a lot of people on this. And what I would suggest is that if anybody is planning of coming home to do something, do your research very well. More often than not, people just pick their bags and think Africa is still tabula rasa. I mean, it's still green. So you can just come and plug in and do anything and you succeed. And then when you see something, you see an underground train that works so well in London, you think you can come to Ghana and do an underground train and change everything. There are intelligent people in Ghana, there are entrepreneurs in Ghana, there are resource people in Ghana, in Africa, let me put it that way. And so when you are coming, please do your research very well. Know exactly what you are coming to do. Research about the impediments you are likely to face before you come and get disappointed. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. I'll be with you 1 second. Just one here.
Good afternoon. My name is Antoinette. How have you been able to make education and learning fun and interactive, especially now that we're away from an analog age to a digital age? And secondly, how have you been able to implement a mentorship program, if you have, by connecting some of the young ones you support with people back in the UK, for instance? Do you have that kind of support system, that network system too?
I think that would be for you, Anita, and Linway as well. Okay, do you want to go for it, Anita, first?
So to the second question first, which is mentorship. So we are currently looking at creating, modeling how that mentorship program will work, but effectively we're going to engage with schools here and put a teacher in our schools in Africa, with a teacher either in a different part of Africa who has a different experience, or in a school outside Africa, and that's a choice. So we're modeling that whole thing now. It's an extra piece of capacity building which we think is exceptionally important, so for us, it's work in progress. It really takes an investment in order to have a coordinator, and it takes also the investment of the individual who wants to give. But the obvious relationships we're building are with Teach First and Teach Ghana, and therefore the other Teach communities. So that the second thing is, how do we make it more fun? Our entire system is about, people say, what do you do? And I say, actually, I do nothing. We genuinely do nothing. Because what we do is we create an environment which is, and here's the big word, experiential. So we say, how would you teach this? Teach each other, critique each other, and that's what we say to the young people who come teach us. And within seconds, they're running away from us. They don't need the core information, because we can give them a training manual, and we can do that online. What they need is the experience of teaching, the experience of being taught differently to the rote systems they were in, the permission to explore with their students, giving them, their students, permission to speak, to participate. So we have a big set of modules which are all about how you make teaching exactly as you would see it in classrooms beyond Africa, using play, using sport, using music, using drama. You know, for us, a field trip is going outside the classroom and picking up some stones or picking up some sticks and doing number bonds with sticks and stones. That's fun. Or taking a chalk and doing a snake on the floor and then walking or hopscotch, skipping that and counting the numbers and then adding up. It's so simple to use these basic skills and to invent more and more of them. And in fact, I'll be in Ghana next week training for these new creativity models, which are exactly in the things we said, and including a new module, which is very, very important for us in the No Child Should Be Left Behind, which is about inclusivity and particularly looking at disability, because we see that our classrooms can include many children who are differently skilled. We can't deal with the very, very highly dependent children who have very strong disabilities, but anything below that we can include. So we feel, and that's what we're now driving towards as well. So yeah, learning is fun in our classrooms, and if anybody wants to see my WhatsApp group of what's happened today, yesterday and the day before, every day my teachers load up because they're really proud of what they're doing and they love the fact that it's different. And we teach them that the classroom is a place where the children should have fun and they can come, and if they haven't been there the day before, you don't punish, you include and say, right, today is better. Come in and learn.
Great.
Yes, I will be fast, but I want to start by the comment that the guy made behind there. I will be very fast. I will say it's not how many times you fall, it's how many times you stand. That's the best part. I start exploring Africa since 2010. I wanted to do import-export. I even brought partners with me, and then we failed after 2 years. I went back. I wanted to do agriculture. I failed. It didn't happen. 2 years again, I went back. It's how many times you stand up. It's not how many times you fail. So I always say that it's okay to fail and to stand up even if it's 20 times. That means at least you have something to drive you to go for. So it's always stand up and go for. That's what I would say. That was my first comment. And in terms of fun, when we talk about fun, at the Smiling Foundation, we create conferences twice a year where youth come together and share what they have learned in a period of 6 months. So they sit together, they share, they criticize each other, and then they give ideas how to make plans on implementing the 17 SDG goal of the United Nations, because this is what the standard that we follow at the foundation. And I would say in terms of the mentor, this is the reason why I value events like this, because I meet people who are willing to listen to those kids in Africa. I get close to some of you. I send you emails and I say, this is what I'm doing. And I have one kid that would love to be empowered by you. And most of the time I will say, people say yes. So in terms of mentoring, we have people, even at the UN, and we have 30 sponsors who sponsor the project of building school in Africa. And inside the contract say that all the partner had to mentor one of the kids, and all of them agree to that. So I'm probably going to send you email. You're going to receive emails from me asking you to be a mentor of one of the kids. So just be open to that as well. Thank you.
Isona Shibata from Prince's Trust International. We do a lot of work on youth unemployment. And Anita, this is for you actually from the previous panel. When we talk about promoting quality education, recognizing that youth unemployment is such a massive problem, when I go and ask, well, what are the opportunities for youth? No one ever says to me, teaching. So how can we promote quality careers in teaching and ensure that the people that you're training now are still working in teaching in 10 or 20 years' time?
So, do you want me to? So the answer is that you need, in that sense, promoting quality teaching is there's a massive amount of investment in doing that. Everybody's talking about education being the great multiplier, the great changer. But how do you actually promote it? It's, I think, getting on the ground, doing it, and showing it works. So on my board, I have a very fabulous Professor Kwame Chengpong, who is funded to do these massive longitudinal studies, which actually show not just impact in 1 year, but long-term outcome for people who are in programs like ours. And it is really essential that people fund people like Kwame, and that people like Kwame get to sit on boards like mine, so that you can actually see what works and prove it. Having said that, and with all due respect, it's asinine, because we all send our children to university here because we know it works. So why do we need to prove it elsewhere, and particularly in Africa? So I'm telling you that we know that if you take a young person who's just got stuck because of financial constraint immediately after school, and you put them into effectively what we do, which is an apprenticeship, a paid internship for an entire year, and you support them while they're in that internship so that they are really learning as they go along, as well as having a high impact training at the beginning. Guess what? What do you think their employability indices is going to be like afterwards? They will either go in to teach training and be the best teachers in that course because they've just had a year in schools, in the most difficult schools that you could possibly be in, Or they're going to go and be a trainee and become a pharmacist, which is a fantastic outcome. Teaching wasn't for them, but they have all the other soft and hard transferable skills that they have learned during the time in our program, plus all the self-management and management skills around them, because they've been elevated to a very special place in their community. Or they might even go and decide to become entrepreneurs and livelihood, wealth generators in a different way. All of these things are fabulous outcomes, but the concept, people saying, well, teaching isn't wealth generating. I say, do you understand what the multiplier effect of training one person to be a teacher is who hasn't actually been through teacher training? It is absolutely enormous. So yes, we work with the ministry in order to create these narratives, and we work with the academics to prove it, because apparently unless it's on a piece of paper you can't accept it's right. I'd like to just say one thing is we must be careful when we start accepting money and when we use systems which ultimately do data trawling, that we understand the trysts that we're going into. And we at Teach to Teach have turned away very good money for that reason, where individuals said, well, can you load your whole thing onto this? But before you do that, can you give me the names of all the students in all your schools and all your teachers? And the answer is, we need to really talk about GDPR. We work under the umbrella of the UK Charities Commission. We follow GDPR, and it may be different in this context, but ultimately we need to have really formal understandings. And we have MOUs with the Ministry of Education, with universities, with further training colleges, and they all are very, very happy. Quality companies, quality investors, and quality partners will work to those standards and will protect the youth of Africa and the children of Africa from the insidious data trawling that can happen when we take on money.
Wow, brilliant. Please give them all a round of applause. Hope you found that very informative and fantastic, because I know I have. Just a real quick, can you just go down the line, just keep your website details, and then obviously they'll see you after. Just let them know your website details, how they can find out more information about you guys.
Or maybe just come and take our cards if you...
Or that too, because they're very prepared. So get their cards afterwards. So thank you very much. Please give them, the ladies, another round of applause for being on the panel. I've been Lady T, your moderator, and I'm going to hand you back to Joseph. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Let's take a group photo real quick.